Okay, I'm here with Mr. Sanders, and this is Forward Progress. My name is Carlos Walker. I am the host of this. Mr. Sanders, what we do here is go through the backstory of the butterfly. You
Okay.
being the butterfly now, but there's a story that has to be told about your life before prison, after you got into it, the things that you have done, and then where you're at now. And for me, I like to make sure that I document and share these stories because there's many men who are who are sitting back there in prison who need to see the story of the butterfly.
All right.
So, if you will, tell us where you're from and share a
Um,
little bit about your story before prison.
okay. My name is Vince, and in the street, everybody called me V. I'm from East Oakland, California, which is the northern region of the world. And you know, I was a criminal. I was a criminal. What I wasn't born as a criminal. I wasn't groomed as a criminal. I just chose criminality over, the square stuff. So as my criminality escalated from breaking in cars to breaking in houses to armed robberies to drug dealing to pimping and pandering to, it's a variety of things that I've done in the criminal elements. However, during my pimping stage, uh, I caught a murder and got sentenced to 40 years of life in prison, California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. Uh, so I went in 1992. I came out in 2018. However, uh, I was in prison. I got into riots. I ran with my gang members. Uh, I sold narcotics. I did a whole lot of things in prison that wasn't cool. So I went from one element of criminality to another element of criminality while incarcerated. However, while I was incarcerated, I got one child. My child was coming up visiting me. And so one day she just said, Dad, I'm tired of coming back here. And I always got to see you behind glass. I see the other people and they're going to see their people in the yard. But every time I come see you, I got to see you behind glass. Behind glass is when you're in ADSEG, uh, SHU, you're in, it's basically the whole. You're separated from the general pop. And so at that time, that really made me feel bad that I already subjected my daughter to not having a father, being raised without a father, her father being in prison. So I subjected her to that. And now while I'm in prison, I'm further subjecting her to other things. And at that point, I just had an aha moment and my brain clicked. I started doing other things, positive things. So before I was just in prison, and in my mind, I was thinking that this is it. I got a life sentence. I'm gonna die in prison.
No
But
hope.
no hope.
Basically, no hope.
No hope at all. And so, but after that conversation that I had with my daughter, I realized that this is not what I was born to be.
Mm.
Right? This is not what God had in store for me. He is not gonna let this be the end of my road. So at that point, I started, educating myself on the legalities of the system. I got my Blackstone uh, law degree. Well, it's not a degree. It's basically it is a degree because you become certified paralegal. So I started practicing law. I started reading a lot. I started just studying. I started doing psychology. I started doing all kind of things and learning myself because I knew at some point I went left. So now I got to get right. And so I used all of these different things to enlighten myself on self, right? And so as I started doing that, I started just getting further and further away from criminality in prison, 115s. I started carrying myself different. I started seeing things different. I started thinking different. I started acting different. I started just a whole lot of things just changed in me. So people was more or less, man, this motherfucker done went, and excuse my French, but this is how they refer to you. Man, this cat swearing up, he is this, that, and that. So you get a whole lot of negativity from people that don't have no insight, no sense of self-worth, nothing. They want you to continue down a negative path. When they see you change and start going up a positive path, they want to pull you back. Come on, man, ain't nothing. You're gonna be in jail anyway. So I didn't see that for myself. So I went through some changes, and finally I got into one situation I call a drug case in prison. And I beat the case. And it was a pretty bad case. I had 250 grams of heroin in prison, and I got caught with that. So they sent my girl to prison, and I went to court, and I won. So that was just it for me. I'm done. So fast forward, I go through a few different prisons, and then I end up in a prison where I was having a conversation with a CO. And the CO was trying to come up with a concept to help these youngsters. And I told him, well, I had wrote a curriculum. I had wrote a business plan. These are something that I want to do when I get out of prison, which is true to self-mentoring. So I had already wrote it. It was complete. So I said, well, I got this. And then I have this curriculum that go with it. So this is a 12-month curriculum, and this is on self, just identifying with self. So it's critical thinking and beyond. So it teaches you domestic violence, and domestic violence is not just me beating on my girl. No. Domestic violence is really, really broad, and it's in our homes every day. Just because the physical abuse is not there, the verbal abuse is there, the money control is there, the sexual control is there. So it's just a lot of different things. Domestic violence is not just me putting hands on somebody. So it's a lot of things. It's a sense of control over another person. So I taught that. I wrote on that. I wrote on, self-awareness. I wrote on, it's just so many different things. And I have all this stuff. And just a moment. So I have a book. Is this the book? This is not the book.
In DC, while I was out there selling my books, and I was telling my story to him, and he told me, he stopped, he said, hey, I wasn't supposed to be here either. And this is when he actually got to sharing his story with me, and a very phenomenal story about the things that he had done in prison, but the things that he wants to do here. And his story is so phenomenal. This is the reason why I brought him up, because, hey, I think our stories, if they are used correctly, get to impact not just those that are in prison to see hope, but the people out here who are dealing with some things, don't know that they can become even more. You get a real life example, okay?
So this is the book that I wrote. So this is Valley State Prison Youth Offender Program. And so this is a program that I created and I donated to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. So we have Elizabeth Alva was a woman that took a chance on me. She's a CC2. And Bobby Hernandez was a CO. And they took a chance on me and let me create this. So this is the curriculums, and this is Introduction to Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, learning how to cope, prioritizing our principles, concept of manhood, domestic violence and prevention, anger management, conflict resolution, because you can't take anger management without conflict resolution, because you can get angry, but how do you diffuse a program? Uh, 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 how do you diffuse a
A
conflict?
conflict.
You have to know how to think your way through it.
Come on.
So conflict resolution and anger management goes hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. And then you got gang prevention and deterrence. You have words of weapons, creative writing workshop, becoming a new person, accepting who I am, family structuring, and relapse prevention and reentry planning, and graduation ceremony. So this book is how I prioritize my life. So I went to the board in 2014, and I walked in there with a manila folder with a few pieces of paper, and they basically laughed at me like, you seriously walked in here today thinking we were going to let you out of prison? So we're going to give you a 7-year to
Wait for a
9
second.
back in
At this time, how much time had you done?
20, like 25 years,
Okay.
24 years. So they told me to go back and get my shit together, basically. So I went back, I sat down, and I came up with this. I ran into Elizabeth Alva. She interviewed me. I ran into Bobby Hernandez. He interviewed me. And they gave me the opportunity to put this thing together. So I put it together, pitched it to the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. Directors came down and they watched and they listened. And they just gave me a shot. So we created like stats where we took statistics like on all these different characteristics, behavior, disciplinary, everything, education. So we created education, vocation, education, self-help groups. We just did everything and put them first. So it's the youth offender. So the youth offender program was derived because a person is not legally grown until he's 25 years of age,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you cannot be, aware, self-aware, if you're not aware of yourself or your mental capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, when you have all of these different things going on in your home or in your environment or in your community, all of these things affect your mental growth, right? And so to have us all confined in one area, right? And we're all on the same page, now it gives us an opportunity to grow,
To work on it.
right? So in a collective, right, you can go see a psychologist, anybody, and they'll sit around and they'll assess, diagnose you, and then prescribe you a medication to help you deal with your whatever your problem is. But in cognitive behavioral therapy, we created circles. So if I'm sitting across from you, in the beginning, I'm gonna lie. I'm gonna dumb it down. I'm not gonna participate. But as time go on,
You
I'm gonna
begin to
see all
trust.
these all these different people in this circle, right? And we're
Mm-hmm.
facing each other. We're not sitting. I'm here, you behind me, and he. There's not rows. It's a circle. And we sat in them circles and we just opened up, right?
Y'all began to trust each other.
We begin to trust each other because we have a thing where we're in here. Once we walk out that door, whatever we talk about stays in here. There's no COs, there's no counselors. It's just us. So they trusted the program so much and trusted me so much, they gave me full reign of all of this. So I can go anywhere in a prison and deal with, my youth offenders, my mentees, my mentors, so I can go anywhere in a facility. The whole prison. The only place I couldn't go was out the front gate.
This is like a Joseph moment.
Right. So But it was so good, right? How it happened. So in the beginning, they gave us $24 million to the program. So the first year went through, the directors of correctional, all they came down and they came into our office. We got 3 computers. So we showed them all the stats. 115s was down, education was up, diplomas, GEDs, vocational trades, and attendance for the groups, the homework in the groups, all the stuff. It was all up. So it worked. So we went through a second year. Now, mind you, all the time I was already been denied parole. So my parole date came up again. For some reason, I didn't go. Came up again. For another reason, I didn't go. I'm starting to get pissed off because I'm supposed to be going to board. But in my mind, I said, well, I'm not going to make it about that. I'm going to continue to doing what I'm doing. So I think they were testing me to see, was I going to come out of my character? And I didn't. I just kept doing what I'm doing. So second year, second graduation came. Then right after that, I went to board. And I got found suitable for parole. So now you wait 6 months. You know, you got to wait for the governor's review, the director review. You got to wait for all that. 30 days, I was out of prison. 4 months later, I came back in for our graduation. So everything worked out. Now I have all my mentors and mentees, and we all communicate with each other. And we're still out here doing fantabulous things, right? And we stay in communication with each other, but someone is always getting out of jail. And everyone is staying out of jail. That was a part of the program. So the statistics that we created inside are just as strong and positive outside.
I was just about to ask you, do you have the stats and the statistics for that to show that how well that this program actually worked for the people who have come home? I was just about to ask you that.
Absolutely, I'm sure I can attain all of that through. We have Re-Evolution. They're still actively involved in the youth offender program. We have Carlos Ortiz, Henry Ortiz. He's actively involved, and so yes, we can still do all kind of get what we need. We have Keys, they're involved. We have AEP, they're still involved. So it's a lot of people that were mentors that's still out here and they got their own organizations and they're doing good.
And it was all built from a few things. I'm gonna recap. One, God allowed your daughter to impact you.
Right.
Just those words of her getting tired of seeing her father in a way that all the other men were seeing their family. That was
Right.
number one. You gained a sense of hope from that. That, hey, I need to tighten my stuff up.
Right.
Number two, you started working on you.
Right.
This is called forward progress for a reason, because now we are seeing the progression from just a spark of hope that your daughter gave you to now progressing to, I need to start working on me.
Right.
Third would be you going to for the parole and them kind of shooting it down, but you saying, you know what? I got a sense of hope that I can leave here.
Right.
In spite of the negative noise that we hear from peers that they're used to you being one way. And as we know about peers, they don't always understand the progression that you got coming.
Right. They don't understand that change is sometimes necessary, man. Change is necessary because you can't go through life. Let's look at it from this standpoint. If you're hustling from 14 and you never had a job, when you get 50, 60, 70, 80, You're still hustling
No progress.
because you don't know nothing else. That's all you know. So at some point you have to change, especially if you wasn't born like that. You wasn't, you chose that.
Mm-hmm.
See, in life, we all have choices. That's what
We
he
all
for. So we have choices. So we have to take these choices. We have to learn from these choices, right? We know bad choices. We know good choices. A lot of times in our life, we just like, fuck the good choice. And we go with the bad. Because it's right now. It's in the moment.
You go off the emotion
Right.
opposed to off of the intuition that you what you're supposed to do or what you could do as a
Right.
person. My brother was just telling me the other day. Imagine having a garden, and one thing we know about gardens, weeds gonna grow.
Right.
Every gardener that you see, they pull up weeds, and in
Right.
our lives, we have to pull up those weeds. When
Right.
you started pulling up those weeds, guess what? You got to see. You got to see the flowers, the
Right.
things that you could
And
work on, and the
even,
beauty of life.
even, even in the youth offender program, we had the horticulture, which
Mm.
dealt with, growing things, right?
Mhm.
So the youngsters, they would get out there and they would grow their tomatoes, their watermelons, their honeydews, their cucumbers, their, different things, right? And this you get to eat from the fruits of your labor.
Come on now.
Then we had the dog program. So the dog program, you got to bring the puppies in, you got to train the puppies, right? Some of the puppies are like uh abandoned dogs. So you have to first make them comfortable with you, right? And so it teaches a person how to love, how to care for something. Even with the gardens, it teaches you how to nurture something. So you have to look at these plants like you're looking at yourself. You're gonna help yourself grow. You gotta water you,
You got to water you with
right?
better stuff, better
Right.
material.
You got to let you get this sun,
Come on now.
shade, And so it's a lot of things that we taught each other. And it's not me teaching them, it's us teaching each other. So it's each one teach one.
Iron sharpens iron.
Right. And so if I can reach you and you can reach me, then we can grow together.
Come
We
on
can
now.
progress. So that's what the whole thing was about. And because these youngsters are out here so disconnected with us OGs, so how do we connect with these youngsters? I can go be a fool with them and they gonna take to me, but where am I leading them?
Down a path of destruction.
Right. So how do I reach the youth? Okay, I gotta take these 16-year-olds and let them listen to an 18-year-old, and let these 18-year-olds listen to a 20-year-old, and these 20-year-olds listen to a 25-year-old, and 25 listen to a
30.
35, and 35 to 45, 55. So we have to bridge that gap because there is a disconnect.
Always tell people these days that most of your older people, your 60-year-olds, when they look at 18-year-olds, they say, man, they too wild. But they don't realize you was once that.
Right,
But the people who do understand, and that would be people 40 something to 50 something, we know one thing. I'm trying to get there. I've already been there. So we have a more connection to them because we've still realized that, man, hey, I just came out of that.
right.
And we teach, but the people that we teach, they teach the youth. Kind of like you just said, you bridging gaps. Our gap was gone.
Right.
A lot of us were sitting
That's,
in prison.
that's because the Reagan administration,
You already know it. Speak about it.
the Reagan administration, tough, the war on drugs. So I didn't put baking soda on cocaine and make it crack. I didn't do that.
It was taught.
Somebody taught me that.
Somebody taught us this.
Right. And so, but you put it in my community, you said, look, three things. I'm gonna give you this crack. This is a way out of prison. But
Come
you
on.
go, this is a way
The
out of
way
your
out the hood.
situation, right? But it's a Okay, so I'm gonna give you this crack. This is a way out of your poverty. You can put money in your pocket. You can eat. You can feed your family. You can help your folks. Okay. Then we're gonna sell you these guns. You can go in the store and get a gun, and you can have it in a week, 3 days.
To
Or
protect what you
you
just
get
made.
a chopper, a 12 gauge, and you can walk out the store with that right now today.
Right now today.
Right? So I'm gonna tell you 3 things. Don't get caught with this crack next to your money with these guns. That's federal. You got all 3. Now that's the RICO Act, especially if you running with a crew.
Organization.
Right? So keep the guns over here, the money over here, and the drugs over here. Right? So this was how we was brainwashed to think. Right? So it's by design. Now once we get into this, and so the communities don't want us drug dealers there no more. Plus, we done ruined our own communities.
Then tore it down.
Right? We tore it up. And we're a part of that. We played a major part in corrupting our communities and disconnecting ourselves.
Not knowing, but
we disconnected. My age group. I'm 58 today.
Okay. Oh, so, hey, happy birthday too.
Huh?
Happy birthday.
Thank you, brother. My age group, we made the older people not want to be bothered with us. So that's where the disconnect, that's where the plug came out the wall with us. From 81, 82, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. By 89, it was over with.
The older people, this is when Biden and them kept making all this noise about our communities. And in Clinton's era, they set up the mandatory minimums and everything to basically get rid of us.
They came through and raked us all out and put us in prison. Gave us ridiculous numbers.
Ridiculous.
Right. Edmund G. Brown was our governor at the time, a mayor at the time. Then he became the governor. So 20, 30 years into his career, he put us all in prison and then signed a bill right after Arnold Schwarzenegger got up out of there. And he signed the bill and let us all back out of prison because he was done with politics. So it don't matter what they say. You don't have to reelect me. I'm finna let these people out. And he did. So it went all the way up. Legislation came down and they let us out all over the United States. They let us out. You know what I mean? So now we're out here, right? So now we have to participate in restructuring, building, and reunifying, right? And just like my youth offender program, it ain't just about blacks. It's like everybody that grew up in my community, because I grew up with whites, Mexican, Asian, everybody. I grew up with everybody. So this is not a me thing. This is a we thing.
Yes.
Right? So as a collective, we all need to reach our youth.
So before we kind of wrap it up, I do want to get into the forward progression of what do you want to do now? Because you've been out for, 2018 for the last 5 years?
Yeah. It's my fifth birthday out. This is my 5th birthday out. They let me out 9/11/2018. And since then, hell no.
You done did phenomenal things, not just in prison, but out here. Yeah, not just in prison, but out here. And what would you like to see things go from here forward? Because this is called forward progress. We done seen your progress from the streets to prison and what you built in there. What you want to see now?
I would like to see, well, I know right now it's a whole lot of things going on, workshops. It's a lot of people, active people in California that I know, right, that are participating 100%, and they're doing their due diligence and trying to bring it back. But I would like to see this as a global thing, especially in the United States, right? But I would like to see this hit all the states. You know what I mean? And a lot of times people don't know how to do this, how to go about, okay, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? Well, me personally, and a few of my friends, and a few of my peers and the mentors that I deal with, and even the mentees that's out here, I believe that me personally, I know the course to take. So I would like to participate.
Let me add to that, because I was, matter of fact, I just met the state public offender for Maryland yesterday. They got an
Right.
initiative that they just started 2 days ago.
Okay.
So, being that God has allowed me to not just connect with them, but He allowed me to connect with you months ago.
Right.
He've allowed me to connect with a lot of beings that have come home. That's also the reason why I'm doing this, because I feel like it's so important for them to utilize the experts, because we're experts. They're
Right.
not. They know the building of the prison system. They
Right.
don't have the knowledge of how to build the men that we have associated with and built.
Right.
But we have the knowledge of not just how to build men, how to take the youth and build them.
Now we know how to make. We know how to. I think it's different than that. I think it's even deeper than that.
It's deeper.
I
I'm
think
just getting surface level
it's and so that's surface, but to be able to turn a person that never had a sense of self
into
into a productive person, right? That's really deep. And you got to really know what you're doing. You can't went to Harvard, Princeton, Yale, or any of those things
they
and
just
just
got
got the
some
book
book
knowledge.
knowledge. They just got
Right.
some book knowledge.
All you know how to do is turn pages and answer questions.
We know how
But
to do as
right,
y'all
we
do with
know
that
because we are actually a part of the problem, which became a part of the solution.
solution. Here we go.
Right.
We're the antidote. Yes,
Right.
what they say. They say, if you get bit by a snake, the same thing that made it this poison is also the same part of the antidote as well.
Right.
It's called anti-venom. You learn,
Right.
you use the venom parts of it to, yes, with some other stuff to make it where it works and it cures. And we are the cure for the society that we see today.
Right.
And this is one reason why I chose to do this interview, but the ones that's to come is because I realized that if they don't use us, it only gets worse.
Right.
But if you do use
But
us,
in California, they use us.
yeah. But see,
And when you go on Indeed and look at some of the counselor jobs or the mentor jobs or, some of the jobs that deals with rehabilitation, they say it at the bottom. We prefer people that have been subjected to this as opposed to a person that went to college. We don't want you. We want the real people because they are the ones in San Francisco. The mayor out there she's 100% investing in rehabilitation, and she's using people like us.
what I
However, I
can
live
say,
in
I
California,
think I think the whole system is starting to learn this.
right? It's from the
And
top. So from the
yeah,
top, from DC to all of them, it's like an octopus. It's going everywhere.
it's about to go everywhere. And
Right.
it's men like you that are needed.
Right. And men like you too, though.
No, look,
Right. Because you'd have never found me had you not said, "Hey, brother, let me have." We had never found each other. So it's men like me and you, right? That makes this, what it should be and how it should be.
we're gonna change the world.
Right.
So
One
I
person
do.
at a time.
Look, it's only one at a time. Hey,
One person, you change one person, that person change another person, and so on and so on and so on and so on. It's like ripple effect. You drop a water in a steel pond,
it ripples.
right?
So if you want to drop in it, what would I call it? An ounce of wisdom, what would it be?
If I wanted to drop it, I would say my wisdom that I would, my input would be let's, as all people, as a people, let's all people as a people participate in what's only right. And that's the rehabilitation and the restructuring of human beings. Let's look at it. Everybody look at each other as humans, not from my skin, or not because of my lack of education, or not because I have more education than you or more experience. Just look at me as a person. That's what Martin Luther said. Martin Luther said, "Don't judge me. Judge me by the content of my character." Right. So give me a shot to present myself before you judge me before I'm even in your presence. You're looking at me walking up, automatically you done either judge me, stereotype me, or shun me.
So
So
with that,
that's
I do want to say, look, I love you, bro. I appreciate this. Happy birthday once again. And me and you gonna be building, because what God got for us to do is some work.
Right. But I'm down here. Like I said, I went back to California, took care of some loose ends. I came back to Virginia, now I'm here. So this is what, man, I built this for me to live in. So this is what I do. I'm a carpenter.
Look, we about to set it on fire. I love you, peace and blessings, and let's work, baby.
All right, what's up?
Blessings.
Blessings.